How you doing?
Fantastic.
Fantastic.
I hope you have a good day.
Hope you have a better week.
I hope your month is full of successful days and a lot of great ventures. I hope you just come up, brother.
I hope your whole fucking year is spectacular.
Oh, you hope my year is spectacular?
Yeah.
You got something you want to say to me?
You got something you want to say?
Final matchup of round one of One Gotta Stay's One Geek tournament. And I'm telling you, I am coming through swinging for this one. Ready with my pots and pans. I'm telling you, if you think that this day, that I am just gonna not care who goes through,
it is not this day.
Look, if you don't pick my picks, we end. Well, it's been a minute, and I had the wrong one, even though I definitely uploaded it before. I mean, I could do it again, but I don't feel like it. That's what happens when you take a whole month off and have the wrong one.
I didn't touch anything, I swear. It wasn't me.
Bro.
You did it. You did it. Blame Paige. Blame Paige because she's the one who kind of like actually.
It's always blame PLD. Do not blame Paige. It's always
blame PLD, man. I do have the
program.
A program that hasn't been going on for like a month because I'm tired with certain announcements. But you know what? Since usually the intro is only about like a minute, and this intro, that's the correct intro, is only about 30 seconds. If this would process, we're gonna actually go and run it back because you know what? The video is nice. I take a lot of time to edit it, so we're gonna do this properly. In 3, please process. In 2, have fun with me. And you. We're here for One Gotta Stay, and here it is.
Yeah, I'm doing good. How you doing?
Fantastic.
Fantastic.
I hope you have a good day.
Hope you have a better week.
I hope your month is full of successful days and a lot of great ventures. I hope you just come up, brother.
I hope your whole fucking year is spectacular.
Oh, you hope my year is spectacular?
Yeah.
You got something you want to say to me?
You got something you want to say?
I hate this. It is revolting.
More?
Please.
Hello there.
Live long and prosper.
What up, family? It's your boy Amaru, and this is the correct episode of One Gotta Stay. It would have been really embarrassing if I would have like just played the video that gave away the winners at the beginning of the show. I didn't know. So a mistake that was could have been worse. But you know what? You're here. I have a bunch of lovely people who are already here, also here with me. Before we get into that, if you've never seen the show, we're in round 2 of our One Geek tournament. One Geek character tournament, and we went through a lot of great characters to get here. We went through the Galaxies to get our matchup for the day. We got some wild cards coming up soon. Some fantasy worlds with Wizarding World and Lord of the Rings, and also the comics. If you watch Comic-Con, you know Marvel will be showing up everybody all the time. But today, what we're talking about are those galaxies on opposite sides of the universe, and we have our winners from the first 2 matchups in the Galaxies. We have to pick one character to stay from Obi-Wan Kenobi, Darth Vader, Spock, or Data. It's going to be a hard one to do, but to figure it out, right now I got with me the person who yelled at me for not letting her on the Star Wars episode before, so I had to bring her back. It is one Miss Paige, the Boston Badass for Betty. Paige, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I mean, I'm glad that you finally decided to have me back, and it's somewhat Star Wars. Fun fact for all you guys, I don't know shit about Star Trek, so this should be very fun, guys. I'm just gonna mess up everyone's list today, so I'm excited.
If you know Paige, she just can't help but spoil things slightly. So maybe that spoiled things. I don't know. I also spoiled something for Nick earlier today. See, I really didn't. He was just mad at me. What up, sir? So I can't be talking mess, but you know what? The person going to be talking a lot didn't know if he was going to get wrecked. And he also, my favorite soundboard of all of the internets. It's one Mr. Mike Shen. Go watch his and subscribe to his channel, Off the Wall. Great content over there. How you doing, sir?
It just suddenly got a lot more metal in here. I don't know what happened, but something about saying my name makes it a lot more metal in here. How's it going, guys?
Doing well. How you feeling about tonight? How you feeling about being on first time?
Yeah, no, wait, what the hell's up with that, man? Like, how long I known you? This is day one. This is our first date after all this time. I'm a little hurt, man. I'm a little hurt. Feel kind of sidelined.
Usually these shows are open calls, and I've been running it for 2 years, so I don't know what you've been doing in the last 2 years with those open calls. But anyway, we're gonna go down to Making the man money. who is probably as mad as me because our match was probably the funnest match of the entirety of last year, and you did not get to hear it.
No,
not one.
Yo,
not
we
one
gave you a
second
golden idea last time, bro. Just dub over it.
Dude,
maybe we need to dug over it one time, but you know what? It's Mr. Mark Moose Haas. How you doing, fam?
I'm good. The world definitely missed out on some of the greatest one-liners had in that match that just were never recorded. But also, I have a very quick question for you, Rue. Of all of the sound bites for Darth Vader, of all of the memorable lines you chose to go with him breathing for the intro,
I just thought it would be a cool ending to like just end off on the breath because it's kind of ominous. So.
Nothing better than cool line, asthma.
Wait. Yes. I got to add on to that. You didn't even get a picture of him. You got a picture of a toy helmet coming out later this year.
You knew who it was. The man who always has something to say, because I also always have something to say about his state that I don't like. But hey, that's another conversation. Mr. Matt Thomas. Also, congratulations on the engagement, by the way.
Sir. Thank you, sir.
How you feeling?
Stressed, tired, and yeah, being engaged is fun.
It is fun.
It is fun.
It definitely is.
Just wait. It gets even better.
And then perfect segue into the man, the myth. I don't know if I can call him by his first name, but I will anyway because
you can now.
He's actually very gracious in that. Mr. Big Time, Mr. Ethan Irwin, thank you for being on, sir. I know one of these Galaxies you have a vested interest in, so I had to ask you to get on, and you blessed us with your presence.
I know I wanted to before, just the stars never aligned, but here we are.
Hey, you are a busy man, and the fact that you take your time out to just hop on our little show, I greatly appreciate it. The suspect love runs strong.
Suspects forever.
It's the suspect and the swag thing right here, and I love it. But anyway, enough talking from us. We are going to get into what we came here to do. So to kick it off, we are going to go with match number 4. Matt,
why you got to start off with me?
Because I love you, sir. That's why.
That's love, right? All right, so I can preface it with this. I was on the Star Trek show. I have a deep love for Star Trek, and a lot of the characters in it. None of my tops made it in, so I have no issue just throwing this person under the bus. It's a beloved character by a lot of people, but one I've have a love-hate relationship with, and that's none other than Data. I do not care for Data all that much, and that's my number 4. And Amru sucks for making me go up first.
Hey, any particular reason, or you're just kind of like that's it? He's just.
I mean, I think okay. I explained this when we did this last time. He's just always kind of been a boring character to me outside of First Contact, where I thought that was the most interesting he got. He has a few moments in Nemesis, but that's not even a good movie, so we're gonna just pretend like that doesn't exist. The stuff that's been added with him through Picard is okay, I guess, but I've never found him that interesting.
All right. Does anybody else besides me have Data as their number 4?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Sorry. Why do y'all have Data as your number 4?
I'll go because I don't know who the fuck he is. That's exactly why I have him as my number 4.
You could have said Abraham Lincoln. You would have like, I don't know who that is.
Yeah, I was just like, this dude needs a tan. Needs to get in the sun.
He's metallic green, so tan don't happen here. He's an android.
Well, he looked like he was dead. So...
I mean, he is technically.
Okay, so there we go then. But yeah, I was like, when you sent me the list, I was like, am I supposed to look up like a database or something? I was like, I don't know who this man is.
No, that's from the day.
So yeah, that's why he's my number 4. Because I was like, who this man? Who he be?
Did you when you look it up? Did you even know if it was a man or not?
I did not. No, I was like, am I looking up a database? And then I saw his picture and I was like, yeah, this man needs a tan. And he looks like he would talk very monotone and like a robot kind of. So I was like, yeah, it doesn't seem that cool.
Wait. I just want to understand. So you looked up enough to like see what he looked like, but not like any actual like video or anything of him.
Oh yeah, no.
Just still photographs. Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to look up stills.
Fine, great.
I wanted to see if there's any shirtless pictures because I could have changed my mind, but there weren't. So
he is programmed to be an excellent, loved machine as well.
Yeah, he gets laid a lot. He gets a lot of laid.
But I think he's always kept his clothes on, though. I will say that.
Hey, you guys should have sent me.
I mean, he had the Borg Queen all over him. So
yeah.
Well, until
really
Picard showed up, then the Borg Queen.
Now I'm gonna look up some data porn after this, guys. So,
I mean, there must be so much.
Turn the safe search on.
That's a rabbit hole right there, Paige.
Data porn was not the thing I thought that was going to be coming up today at all. Moose, what about you? Why do you have Data as your number 4?
I mean, look, amongst these 4 that we're voting for right here, I mean, he was my easy number 4. I don't dislike the character of Data, but he doesn't work for me as well as other Star Trek characters, and particularly one that we'll talk a little bit later. I kind of think Data is the like poor android's version of this character for the Next Generation cast. Of course, we're talking about Spock. But I don't know. The emotion chip thing, Data is always wanting to aspire to be more human as opposed to just being content with himself. That's always kind of bothered me. The stuff with the emotion chip, frankly, just didn't hit for me. It did, like when he finds his cat at the end of Generation Spot and like he has an emotional reaction, like, okay, great, there you go, that's the right emotion. But the rest of it was just too out of control. And I understand that like maybe the emotion or experiencing emotion for the first time might do that to you, but then conveniently in the next one he's just able to turn it off. Mm-hmm. And it's like, oh well, that kind of nullifies that whole arc that you had in the movie previously. I don't dislike the character of Data, but if you're putting him up against Spock, then yeah, Data's got to get the fuck out.
But to be like, am I the only one who didn't put him as number 4?
Shay also didn't put his.
I didn't.
Mike didn't either.
Okay.
Now I'm curious what you guys.
I'm hearing a lot of blasphemy coming out of these cameras right now. I'm a little hurt, honestly. Like, Data is such a clever exploration of what it means to be human through someone who has no idea. The emotions chip thing alone, like, that is such a clear metaphor for what it means to experience new feelings you're not familiar. It's almost like a metaphor for puberty. It's like, how do you handle all of this? How do you handle?
You mean like what we got with Spock, as Moose even just said?
Yeah, but for the Next Generation,
it's literally what it was for.
We didn't need that.
Well, the Next Generation did. There was like the people who grew up watching Spock aren't the same ones who grew up watching Next Generation. You needed that. I
would disagree there. There's a lot of people who grew up watching both thanks to syndication.
But there's people who did not grow up with the original series, who didn't grow up with Spock. There's people who just didn't.
Yeah, like I actually came to it after watching Next Generation, and being watching that when I was a kid, and then going like renting videos from the library of like the older episodes. And I'm like, wait a minute. I agree. There are many strong parallels between these characters. But, I think Data is to your point, interesting exploration of these ideas. And yes, in some cases seems like a knockoff, but I feel like they've taken his character in interesting places. All the stuff with, his twin brother. I think I actually think, even though I don't necessarily care for the Picard series, like the end of season 1, what they do with Data, I actually became emotional, surprisingly emotional. I didn't think I was going to be, but it actually really got me. I was a little drunk.
It don't matter. You want to know what is true? The best Star Trek series doesn't have a character like that, which is why, hey, just pointing that out.
Which one is that?
Deep Space Nine.
You can make an
It is
argument
gonna-
for Odo.
Odo isn't emotionless. Odo's just stern.
No, he's not emotionless, but you can make an argument that he is that exploring our own humanity, him trying to learn what it means to be, but
all of this conversation about the motion chip and all of that, I don't care. Data is I think he is leaps and bounds below the rest of these three characters. I was legit surprised that he ended up being number 2 on this list. There was already conversation about the Star Trek list in general from a lot of different people, but the ones that came through, I was fully suspecting. Actually, I'd pick Data over Kirk, but other people, Scotty maybe. So I could not care anything for. I'm not gonna say anything because Brent Spiner is hilarious and a gem. But other than that, on him. That's why he's my number 4. But you know what?
Wait, can I just say who else on this list though has multiple like jazz albums? I'm just saying. Brent Spiner, Old Yellow Eyes is back. I know. Go for it.
I would love to hear a Darth Vader cool jazz album. That voice is lovely.
Sounds great on paper. Probably not so much of it.
Yeah, because you'll just hear between.
It'd be good at like beatboxing.
That's your background beat right there. But with that, you know what? We're gonna move on to Ethan. Ethan, sir, who is your number 4?
This is perhaps blasphemy going the other direction. My number 4 is Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Get out.
Because my reason again because it's a rich list. Every one of these is an iconic character. But for me, I think the reason we all like him is because there's just a TV show about him, and we're like, oh yeah, that guy. I like. But I mean, and yes, is use the Force, Luke is a famous line. But I would say that just as a character, he doesn't do as much as the other ones that we have on this list, and is not as iconic, certainly as what I feel our top 2s that we're all going to have are, be in whatever order that might be. I just, he's fine. He played a role in the series, but like, I wasn't sad when he died. Whereas other characters in this list, I actually felt he had a true emotional arc and a true storyline. Had they in the series revealed that he was actually the father of those kids, I would have been like, "Great, you've sold me. You've done it all." But they didn't do that.
I did not. I don't think I've ever had more than 3 legit spit takes in my life, and that was. Oh my gosh.
I think Matt's left arm just went numb.
Anybody else have Obi-Wan as that? No one else has Obi-Wan as their number 4.
What the frig is Mike's number 4 then?
Well, since you ask.
Whoa. We're not. Never mind.
Go ahead, Matt. Before we go ahead.
No. Just show it. Just show it.
We'll back it up, Matt.
Aren't we supposed to debate like Ethan's number 4?
Go ahead.
Because this is some crazy ass shit. I'm sorry. Obi-Wan Kenobi is the only reason those prequels are even fucking watchable. That's one of my biggest things. Those prequels are dog shit without Obi-Wan Kenobi in it.
Don't forget that man too, though.
Yes.
That's only one movie.
I was 2.5 years old when I got to see my first movie in theaters. You want to know what that was? Star Wars.
Star Trek to the Wrath of Khan? Oh.
No, Star Wars: A New Hope, the 1997 re-release. I cried like a baby. Granted, I was basically a baby when Obi-Wan Kenobi died. That had always been my favorite character in Star Wars since that moment. I cared very little about a child Darth Vader being in those films, and I cared more about being able to explore a younger Obi-Wan and see how he became that hermit. Then we got the Obi-Wan Kenobi television series this year, which only expanded on my love of that character even more. Wow.
Yeah, that's
I'm just saying you're comparing him to these other characters.
Winston. Shut up, Winston.
Compared, you know what? I know where your heart lies, Ethan. So I get it. It's just. Ooh.
Yeah, I'm not saying compared to Wedge Antilles. I'm saying compared to do people
compared
know?
To these other characters, I'll stick with Obi-Wan.
I hear you. I just feel like if you remove him from the series, yes, certain things don't happen, but like most of the same plot transpires.
Happen.
That's it. Most of the same premise of the prequels. And I don't know.
Also, he is gone after the first movie, and it's like Yoda's there for him, so I get it.
Yeah, Yoda's way more for him. That's all.
Winston, I will fly to LA and tear out your hair, man. Shut up.
All I gotta say is, how is Yoda not on this list? I'm sorry, I have to bring this up.
He didn't make it pass.
Look, check with your other Star Wars competitors who want nothing to do except Andrew.
He is the hottest. I will say he's the hottest of all of them. I
agree.
Talking about for sure.
Small green man. What?
I know I was talking about Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
Obi-Wan. No, Yoda's only okay.
Yoda, they're about
depends on the day of the week.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I'd let him.
So Mike, you just want me to show it.
Just show it.
Just show it.
I'm about to get disinvited from this show.
I can understand this one more than Obi-Wan, but I still
do not understand this at all.
Not the reaction I thought I was going to get.
All
right.
Best villain in cinematic history. What?
Whoa, hold on.
Mike gets to go. Mike gets to go first. Let Mr. Shea go.
I was responding to him because he said he was surprised. I don't like it. I don't disagree with it, but I accept it, as Lando said.
So here's the thing. Kind of to Ethan's point earlier, it's like you're asking me to choose my favorite child out of this list of 4. Like, this is a hard list to pick from, and it was one I worked on a lot. What I will say is this: for up until Rogue One, the most Vader's really known for is standing in the corner and breathing. Like, he doesn't do a whole hell of a lot. He stands in the corner. He holds on to Leia so she doesn't stop the Death Star from shooting her planet. I don't know what she thought she was going to do. He has a lazy ass lightsaber fight in the hallway. And then he gets shot by what can only be described as the Cadillac of starships trying to take out Luke Skywalker in the trench. Han Solo comes in. It's just like, one shot. Yeah, I'm done. I'm just going to spin around in space for a while. The second movie, all he does is just apologize to his boss and say, I don't want to go get this kid. Okay, I guess I will go get him. That's fine. And knocks a dude into an ice bath and is like, cool, and yet still doesn't kill this kid. Lets him know he's his dad for some reason, like he thinks that's gonna do anything. I cut your hand off. By the way, you want to come hang out with me? We'll go play catch. Ooh, about that, yeah. And then still tries to kill him, and it's only after his son is being tortured on the floor he's like, yeah, okay, I guess I'll be good now. That's fine. It takes so many other movies and shows and stuff to redeem this guy, to make him interesting. And honestly, if we're talking about who's got to go, the dude murdered a bunch of children. Like he got to go either way, no matter what.
Message.
Yeah, he got to go.
Spoiler alert.
Did you forget to tell them this is throughout their appearances in all media Amaru, because there's the comics. I'm just saying, he's just bringing up TV and
I'm aware of that, but what I'm saying is we had to get all this other shit to make him interesting. In the original trilogy, he's just tall, dark, and brooding, and slightly asthmatic. Like, he doesn't do a whole lot. Yeah.
I you know what? You give some compelling points. So I'm with you on the same as Lando. I don't agree. And
don't agree with it, but I accept it.
Considered the greatest villain of all time, and one Mike Shea says no, fuck him, 100% out of here. But with that, here's where we are now.
You made me choose.
I did make you choose. Here's where we are right now. Myself, one page. Matt and Moose got rid of Data because, of course, Ethan did something. He got rid of Obi-Wan, sure, and Mike got rid of the one with asthma. So with that,
not because of the asthma, he just got that. He happened to have asthma.
It's just wasn't like all this other shit, and he has asthma. Like,
yes,
and he has asthma.
It was more the genocidal tendencies.
Yeah.
He got to go.
Moose, where are we going from here?
So next person is Darth Vader.
Piss Paige off for.
What?
Paige is having just a conniption on this show.
Again,
okay,
I don't like it. I don't agree with it, but I accept it.
No,
Yeah. Okay. So for a lot of the same reasons that Mike just said, I'm not going to go into the exact tirade that he did, but I'll go on the other side of it. I'll go into the other side of it. You described how boring he was in the original. Let's talk about how annoying he was in the prequels as Anakin. Okay. This is the reason why. Like, okay, the kid was already emotionally unstable being taken away from his mom, right? So there's already like red flags happening with the Jedi Order, right? He's too old. He's sensing fear immediately. He's emotionally unstable. He's glammed onto a woman who's significantly older than him.
He likes a cougar. Nothing wrong with that.
Hey, nothing wrong with it.
Actually
Go
fine with
Padme,
that.
right? But despite all these red flags, and despite even like them going, okay, Obi-Wan, don't train him. And he's like, fuck it. I'm going to train him. They're like, okay, go for it. Come on. That's exactly what goes wrong with it. Apparently, the Jedi Council doesn't have a very good HR department because there's not a lot of grief counseling that happens with these Jedi Knights. And Anakin really didn't get mentored in the right direction. And all of a sudden, he continues to just become this like vain and emotionally unstable and arrogant Jedi. And they're just like, he's headstrong. It's like,
This is why Obi-Wan is number 4. It's his fault.
So, Obi-Wan is obviously a failure. Again, not a great support system in the Jedi Council, right? I don't know. I'll apply for HR with them. We'll see. But I do. Okay, well, now, can we talk about Saw Gerrera instead of boring Anakin? So I'm going to go on the opposite side. My pick for why Vader is at number 3 is because Anakin in the prequels is terrible. Darth Vader in Rogue One, awesome.
Yeah,
I do agree with that.
I got Anakin is the most annoying character in almost all of geekdom, period.
Yep.
He's a whiny bitch, but it turns out to be the most badass villain of all time. So that overcomes it, I think.
it's one of those, like, to your point about like the Jedi not having HR, like their HR department is like, oh, you got grief? Have you tried not?
Yeah.
have you tried not being sad? Oh, you're depressed? Have you tried feeling happy?
Yeah.
Like that's their answer to everything. Have you just tried not?
Yeah. Go meditate on it for a little while. See if that makes you feel better.
Does anybody else have Darth Vader as their number 3? They do not, and neither does Matt's dog. That's why he left at this moment, but he'll be back. So we're Mr. Irwin, going right back to you. Going right back to you, sir. Your number 3.
Yeah, my number 3 is a lot of your number 4 is Data, for the reasons that you said. I think he is kind of in many ways a knockoff Spock, and they didn't always know what to do with him. But I do think they took that character in interesting directions. And yeah, and again, just based on this list, I think he is not as iconic, or even though he is iconic, and you would recognize him, on a lunchbox. I just don't think, compared to the top 2, he is in the pantheon of greatest characters of all time. But I do think he is a wonderful character. I do think they really were able to explore some really cool angles with him as the series progressed. But yes, initially, just a knockoff of Spock.
Mike, you're the only one left. Do you agree, or were you really vehemently just shaking your head no?
Spoilers.
I mean, I gotta ask, does anybody else have them? And you're the only one left.
Not on my number 3. No, he's not on my number 3.
So you have somebody else. Well, we'll figure that out. But first,
who could that be?
I'm gonna go. And my number 3, I will say this was actually it wasn't that hard when I came up with it. I will say having the conversation within the last 29 minutes and 15 seconds kind of made me think otherwise. But I'm gonna keep what I'm saying. And this does hurt because this is probably one of my favorite characters from this place. But for me, Spock's gotta go.
Oh, you suck.
This is your list. You can do whatever you want with it. What are you talking about? You don't have to do this.
No! Oh, yeah. Spock is my number 3.
Good job, Amaru. Good job, Amaru.
Wait. Mike, just do that one more time. Just one more time.
God! No! God, please, no! 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 No!
It's my favorite
I just
one.
need
Okay.
you. I just need you backstage producing because I know you do that so well. Just from here on out. Look, for me, Spock is actually probably the most, or if not one of the most interesting characters I've come across in Star Trek. I got schooled on the Star Trek panel because I don't know anything past the movies. And so there are a lot of characters I do not know, but based off my knowledge, Spock is a G. Spock is great. However, my top two, I feel like, are like the pinnacles of heroes or villains in all of all of geekdom, period. And Star Trek and Star Wars are two of my least favorite fandoms. Like, I came to those very late. So me saying that they're the top, Spock is kind of here by default. He's kind of here by default. However, real quick. However, I will say the whole Anakin thing is making me pause because I got to take the best villain of all time compared to the most annoying character ever. And where does that middle out? And very honestly, Spock might edge that out. However, I'm going to stick to my guns. Spock sometimes...
Yeah, why let new information change your opinion? Why let learning something new is valuable?
Because it screws up my order and everything, and having to try to fix shit backstage while hosting is a difficult job.
Fair.
So,
totally wizard, guys.
But here's the deal. If you look at future episodes, I surely have changed my placement for some of these first rounds going on to here. But anyway, it didn't happen this one. The biggest reason when I was thinking about it is because as great as Spock is, he gets a little one note sometimes. Just a tad, tiny bit, and he's supposed to be. I get it, but for me, that's where he's at. Does anybody else agree with me? Have Spock as their number 3.
It's like complaining that
Thank
Batman
you.
is brooding. Like,
But the difference is, unlike you, I have Star Trek knowledge, and choosing between 2 and 3 were hard for me, especially with how Spock has been portrayed on Strange New Worlds, because that show is a freaking gift. So yeah, I love Spock. He's one of my favorite characters on Star Trek. But my heart lies with a certain franchise that I have helmets for right next to me. So
yeah. Sorry, y'all. That's where we're at. That's what we're doing.
You know, I wasn't going to drink, but because of this, I might actually have to go take a quick drink.
But
Dude,
that's your
I came
default
prepared.
state, Moose, though. So it's like, is that a good thing or a bad thing for you?
It's Monday. I shouldn't be drinking on a Monday.
That is true.
You're
That is
right.
true.
don't you make me feel bad about myself.
No,
That's-
you should do it.
No,
Now-
it's out of admiration that I'm actually considering it.
Now, what I'm very, very curious about is how in the world, Paige, if you've been keeping up, the tattoos on the arms, what is about to happen with you?
I know people are probably shocked right now with my pick, but I tried to play it a fair game as much as possible. And when I wanted to look at both sides of the spectrum for Galaxies far, far away. I don't think they say that in Star Trek, but I tried to play it fair on both sides. And so for me, I went with Obi-Wan for my number 3.
Wow.
Only because, one, it's his fault that Darth Vader is the way he is.
that is
So he could have helped, he could have prevented, he could have been a better friend, brother
he
figure.
tried. Oh
But
my
he was too
god!
late. But he was too late. He was too late.
Message.
There was no room. There was no room on that ship for
Did you miss Clone Wars? Did you like?
Yeah, there was no room on the high ground for to be shared. It was not nice.
He was gonna kill him now. Oh.
Well, Paige, I don't think you're alone in this. Wait, maybe is somebody who's number 3? Anybody else have Obi-Wan as their number 3? There you go.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate it. Also, his death in
See,
A New Hope. I
Mike's
don't know.
already on my shit list.
Yeah.
So
I mean, for me, for his death on New Hope, it really didn't do much for me. I don't know. And then, obviously going back and then watching the prequels, you learn to care for this man. And, I love Ewan McGregor. Ewan McGregor is my Obi-Wan, I guess. So I love his portrayal of it all. But I don't know. I don't have, the strong connection I do with some of the other ones, other Star Wars characters. Yoda. But yeah.
Not on
Mike-
the list.
Not on the
Well,
list.
because he should be. God damn it.
Mike, why do you have Obi-Wan as your number 3?
Again, like this was hard. Like this was really hard, and it was. I had to really take into account like the recency bias of just watching Obi-Wan, because it's like really, well, with the exception of a few episodes, I really like the show. But it kind of the same thought everyone else having is like, yeah, like Vader's his fault. Like, and I've seen Clone Wars. I've seen it. I love Star Wars. Like, admittedly, I love both of these. This was a really hard thing to do, but like, there are so many times where it's like Obi-Wan, like you can tell he does not like the way Anakin's being treated, and he just kind of goes along with it. And ultimately, yeah, it's all his fault. He just puts himself and puts Anakin in these situations where they're forced to make these impossible decisions, and just kind of, in an attempt to not be Qui-Gon, is what it came down to. Is he wanted to try as hard as he could to not be Qui-Gon. He kind of became the very thing Qui-Gon was trying to prevent, which is just this blind faithing. You know, Luke talks about it in The Last Jedi. I know people had feelings about The Last Jedi, but when he says like the Jedi got arrogant, the Jedi got clouded by their own arrogance, and Obi-Wan's kind of the personification of that. Is he just followed blindly with the Jedi Order for the most part and caused Vader. Like, that's him. That's his fault. Yes, Anakin made his choices, but he was put into situations by Obi-Wan and the Council that left them no choice. It left them feeling abandoned.
So the fact that he is the cause of Darth Vader actually, I think, makes him more of a fascinating character.
Bingo.
We have to deal with that. Right? Imagine.
That's why he's my number 3, not my number 4.
Right? I mean, that was what was so good about this Obi-Wan series.
Maddie, don't worry.
For his time having to kind of sit with this. And what did he decide to do? He decided to mope and become a butcher in the desert, right? But still, he's got to deal with that. He's got to deal with the fact that he caused one of the most like integral cogs in destroying the Republic and destroying the Jedi. Like, yeah, he's got to deal with that. That's what makes his like redemption in A New Hope and his sacrifice in A New Hope more meaningful. Is, yeah, he knows that he had to sacrifice himself for Vader's son to get away, right? There was no other path that he could go down except to confront Vader, sacrifice himself so that Luke could go away. If you look at the symmetry of that from like a story arc, that's crazy, right?
And it wasn't planned, is the crazy part. It wasn't all planned.
I agree with everything you're saying, and that's why he's not number 4. Like,
so basically what Mike is saying is that the cause is a little bit better than the effect. Blame the effect.
Like,
there.
Yeah, it's just
but with that, we are down to everybody's final 2, where 4 of us still have Darth Vader. Me, Paige, Ethan, and Matt. Shay, Mike, is the only one with data left. Me, Matt, and Moose both have Obi-Wan, and Paige, Ethan, Moose, and Mike still have Spock. And before we get into our numbers, as always, please visit us at bitesizebreakdown.com. We have a lot of great articles, a lot of great reviews. 2 of the writers are here on right now. And hopefully, if you're actually interested in writing for us, let us know. On top of that, if you're on the channel watching right now, please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. More subscriptions, more shows. She has one coming up soon. But with that,
do it, guys.
With that,
I'm
here
so
are the
mad.
numbers.
I thought I had a do it sound effect, and I don't.
Do it.
I'll say it. Just
do it.
Do it.
Do it. But here are the numbers. Here are the numbers for everybody's stays. We have 3 people who saved Spock. We have 2 people who saved Obi-Wan. And we have 1 person who saved Vader. And this is the first time in a while we've had somebody on an island on their own by themselves. So as I reveal them, can the person who saved Darth Vader go ahead and say why you saved them and how upset you are at everybody else?
Dude, you guys are all on fucking crack. I don't know what y'all are smoking. Literally the best cinematic villain of all time. I mean, let's be for real. His, like, unlike any character in Star Wars, like, his character develops, grows, changes through all of the films. Like, he goes from being this whiny kid, well, being the hope of being the chosen one, to being a whiny kid, to becoming a villain and being the worst person humanly possible in a galaxy far, far away, and then redeems himself at the very end with his last breath. And you guys decide to not save him?
Well, because he stayed whiny.
And he's a badass G. Like, you guys.
It took 7
I
movies
didn't get
and
my
3 TV
way.
shows.
Well,
It took-
now I'm just like, what?
It took 7 movies and 3 TV shows.
No, I mean, but like,
Oh, you're
like,
disappointed in me, Padme?
No, when
Choked you to death.
when you guys think of Star Wars, though, I think even people that aren't fans of it, they know who Darth Vader is. They like the first thing everyone thinks of besides the breathing is Luke, I am your father. Even though he says I am your father, but still,
No, father.
Yeah.
But anyway, Paige, anything else before we reveal the rest? And you can still keep putting things in. Just want to make sure you get yours out because you're by yourself.
Yeah, I'm just. You guys are all flipping crazy, and
I never claimed to be sane. I mean, I think that's an important distinction to make.
yeah, I'm so lonely right now, guys. I'm gonna go sing that Akon song now.
Ryan, my sex or chocolate teammate is behind you, at least in this part. But with those of us on screen, me and Matt have the exact same list because we keep an Obi-Wan, and everybody else has kept Spock. And here's the deal. Not only is Ewan McGregor and Alec Guinness two of the most interesting dudes on screen at all time, but again, the depth of character to go through tragedy, to have to take on his mentor's failures, because Qui-Gon failed, and try to bring that forth and have to deal with the failures and get past it. And I don't care what anybody says. I loved Obi-Wan the series. It was the best thing on Disney Plus to me until a little Pakistani show.
That's going to change this Wednesday with a docu-series coming out. Trust me.
But
you ain't ready for
what
that.
I've seen, but I think Obi-Wan is just fascinating, and he has acted his behind off in all variations. He is the most charismatic things in that shit called the Clone Wars movie. I love this character to death based on my Star Wars love. It really is what it is. Darth Vader was my number 2 because Anakin brings him way the fuck down. But I do enjoy him, and I enjoy Star Wars. Actually, no, I think I enjoy Star Trek more. I don't know. These two fandoms or whatever. But anyway, Obi-Wan is mine. That's who I'm saving for this one. Everybody else, back me up, go against me. Tell Paige she's wrong because she's the only one here. Do whatever you like.
Paige is wrong, but I'm like you said, we have the same list. We keep it 100. I'm just gonna say, like you, I love Hayden Christensen in the last half of Revenge of the Sith, but every piece of Anakin before that brings it down. Now the Clone Wars redeems it a little bit. I don't know if you watch Clone Wars, but overall, Obi-Wan's just, there's so many layers to that character. The portrayal is always spot on. How could you not keep him? Like Ewan McGregor, especially in the new series, he killed it. I got to see what I expected, and I don't know what other people were expecting, but I was expecting a broken man who's trying to redeem himself, and I got just that, and I loved every moment of it. So,
yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I love Obi-Wan, and I think he is a great character. But I was also playing at bat for both sides of the spectrum. So that's why I had Spock at number 2, because when I think of Star Trek, I think of Spock. Like, that is my go-to person of who I think portrayed. And also pretty much when I think of Star Wars, besides Yoda, since no one put him on this list, that Darth Vader is who else I think of when I think of Star Wars. Like, that's my first thing is Darth Vader. When I think of Star Trek, it's Spock. Like, those are my go-to things. I know this can't change anyone's damn minds because this is already finalized, but yeah.
You're right. What you're getting at is correct, though, because I have those as my top 2, but not in that order. Are we supposed to say that now? I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah, you can say whatever you want.
Okay, great.
Go at it.
But yeah,
go at it.
So like, obviously, my number 1 is I would keep Spock, and then number 2 would be Darth Vader. But both of them, unlike I think the bottom 2 characters, unlike Data or Obi-Wan, especially Data, they don't. Those Vader and Spock transcend the genre. They transcend the shows or movies that they're in. Like, they are globally well-known characters, and people know about Spock. People who've never seen Star Trek can tell you the general concept of what Spock is, and why for me Spock is number one is because it does what good science fiction is supposed to do, which is hold up a mirror to us and allow us to ask questions, which is something that I don't think the other characters really ever do, the ones that we're talking about. Whereas Spock, I think, actually, he's a more meaningful character, I think, globally and emotionally and just outside of the fan base. And then number two is Vader, again, as you say, super iconic. People know who he is without ever having seen a Star Wars movie. But yeah, that was why I did my top two.
Yeah. Darth Vader is the boogeyman on steroids.
He is, but again, for me, Obi-Wan, I think the whole mirror comment, I think when I've watched, again, I came to both Wars and Trek as an adult, and I got more of a mirror on Obi-Wan because it was successes and failures and growth, where Spock, again, kind of just seemed a lot more just the mirror of philosophicalness or whatever, if that makes any sense whatsoever. I'm just spewing words, but I didn't get that as much with him. I don't know.
I cried when he died also, several times.
So as the only one who kept data this high, I will say to the point that was made earlier, like, oh, data provides this inward look. Well, doesn't Spock do that? Yeah, Spock does that better. That's why he's number one and Data's number two. But for what I wanted to get out of my science fiction, I got that from both Data and from Spock. That introspection, that inward look is what I love to get from my science fiction, that like Ethan said, holding a mirror up to something. And I got that a lot from Data and Spock. Spock just did it, I think, a lot better. Again, all these characters were fantastic, and I mean this was a embarrassment of riches. When you tell me only one can stay, it's like, well, I got to go with the one who did the most for me with myself and my development as I got older and growing up as an awkward teenager. Spock was just that, looking at humans as just this ridiculous group of people that don't make a lot of sense, was how I was feeling, and still to this day feel quite a bit. Now, I have not seen any of the stuff that's on Paramount Plus out of protest, but everything else I've seen from Spock, whether it was Leonard Nimoy or whether it was from...
You are missing.
I refuse to pay for Paramount Plus. But that's a whole other conversation.
On Strange New Worlds is why.
Strange New Worlds. I refuse to give Paramount any more of my money. That's just a me thing. But what Spock was able to give people like me and like a lot of other people growing up and going through adulthood, awkward teenagerhood, and all that stuff was something I just could not. That can never be taken away from me. Like, Spock means so much. And I feel like Sheldon sometimes. It's kind of weird. Like, I'm not nearly as smart, but that connection to a character like that who just kind of looks at everyone around and just goes, God, people are dumb. Just, why are you all so dumb? Like, I feel that, like, in my bones, as well as that exploring his human side and that inner conflict with trying to think with his brain, but occasionally his heart getting in the way. I think that's something that all of us as humans can relate to on any level.
And Moose, you also kept Spock. Give us your thoughts on that, and also give us your final thoughts. Wrap up on just the list in general. Your number two, why the order, but why you had Spock in the board.
So for all of the reasons that everybody has said about Obi-Wan, he's number two for me. Spock is my number one. I think for a character who is trying to rid himself of emotions and is trying to divorce himself of human feelings, he is the emotional heartbeat of Star Trek. And I think there's so much that, like Spock, kind of like what Mike said, what means to me, but also just kind of means to that series. I mean, Leonard Nimoy Spock even transcended his movies. It went into an alternate universe and still had great beats in that universe. I think the character of Spock, I mean, again, this is a guy who wants to choose logic, but is always at conflict with being of two races, right? Of being of two worlds. And as much as he wants to rid himself of emotions, a lot of times when those emotions like come through or when he shines the brightest. Perfect example, The Undiscovered Country, which is maybe one of the best Star Trek movies. Spock's final line in that movie, he says, "If I were human, I would say kiss my ass," and then he goes, "If I were human," right? So it's just it's a total like perfect send off to a perfect character in a perfect genre.
Movie
So I got
Spock is the
nothing but
best
love for
Spock.
Obi-Wan. Yeah, it's Spock being Spock. It's Spockism. I can sit there and read a book of Spockisms all day. I got nothing but love for Obi-Wan Kenobi. I definitely think he is one of the more fascinating characters. Plus, the dude is just so charismatic, right? They go into a bar and they're hunting down a suspect, and he tells Anakin, "Go find the suspect. I'm gonna go have a drink." Like, it's just kind of, he is fun. He's charismatic. He's got the good wit to him. So I definitely think Obi-Wan is a standout for Star Wars, but Spock deserves to take the cake.
All right.
I think.
Go ahead, Mike. Go ahead.
I think what the disconnect I had with Obi-Wan is the fact I love Ewan McGregor, like one of my top 5 favorite actors, and so sometimes I wonder do I like Obi-Wan or do I like Ewan McGregor, and I think that's where I have a hard time with it. I think that's why he went up going lower on my list, because like I love Ewan McGregor, I like Obi-Wan Kenobi.
All right. Well, with that, this was the finalists that we have, where me and Matt ended up having the exact same list in saving Obi-Wan. Paige saved Darth Vader, as we saw it, and Ethan, Moose, and Mike saved Spock. I'm going to pose 2 final questions for you all to my panel. Well, 1 question and 1 just wrap up. And as I do that, I'm going to give you a little bit of time to think as I show the list in the chat. But my question to you, just quick thoughts. Out of all of the characters from Star Trek and in Star Wars, who are your top characters you think you would save? All of Star Wars, who would you save? We know Pages. All of Star Trek, who would you save? I'll give you a little time to think, just a quick rundown, and also just your final thoughts after that on this list in general. But as I'll let y'all think about that, Peggy is not a Trekkie, so she's biased, so she saved Obi-Wan and has.
So she has the exact same list as you and me, also. So.
Yes. Matty Gunter does not care about Trek at all either, apparently, because that's all that matters. It's going pretty steady.
Malcolm, same as us. Come on.
Yeah. But it switches up a little bit here. Jeremy Miller does have Spock at number 2. Paige, you got some love with Vader at number 1.
Jeremy and I have the same list.
Mr. Payne also has Obi-Wan at number 1, but it has Data. Data is number 2, and Spock is dead last. He did though say that Vader ridiculous. Vader and Data are easily.
Yeah, they're basically the same character when you think about it.
Came out first.
Basically, Nick, you don't have to watch the first 3 minutes at all. Just skip the first 3 minutes of the show. Don't worry about it at all.
Yeah,
watch them on the loop.
Nick, I got to message you again. I as Amaru can attest, I got busy real quick.
You did. But coming back, Nick also has Vader as his number 1. So for me to give you a little bit more time to think, for me, I think my Star Wars, give Mando a little bit more time, and he might end up taking that. But Obi-Wan is the one for me. Obi-Wan is still, out of all the Star Wars characters I can think of right now, Obi-Wan is the first to come up. But for Star Trek, and again, I am limited in my view just because I only know the movies. My mama would kill me on that because she's a big Trekkie. But for me, it's Khan. I just think if you are a top villain, you are way more interesting to me than anything else. I am one who actually really, really, really like Benedict Cumberbatch's version of Khan, because I just think I think Benedict Cumberbatch is a great actor. But Ricardo Montalban, I just the charisma, the ability to go in and just F them up completely.
That chest.
Yes.
The
hair.
Rue,
yes.
If you don't get started on DS9 soon, I'm gonna take your blurred card.
Bro,
look, man, I have too many things to watch.
DS9 is come on, man.
DS9 is top tier Trek. And
that's my favorite Trek.
Cisco is the Trek person to save. And once you get to DS9,
it's not your turn.
Why.
It's not your turn. We'll get to you, Paige. And final thoughts. Again, these are my 2 lower liked fandom lists, so I don't have as much passion, but I have grown to love them. a little bit more. Rogue One is the best movie. Star Trek in general is better than Star Wars movie-wise. They're more enjoyable. Maybe not better, but more enjoyable. But those are my thoughts. Paige, who is your number one in Trek? Who's your number one in Wars? And final thoughts that you want to relay?
I mean, yeah. So, I mean, I'm not the hugest like Trekkie. Like, I've only seen the newer films. I've seen pieces of the other ones. I've seen 09 the most. But no, when I think of Star Trek, I just immediately think of either Captain Kirk or like Spock. I think Spock is the more interesting character because he is half human, half whatever the hell his
Vulcan.
species is.
Vulcan.
Yep, there we go.
He's half Vulcan.
V for Vulcan.
Oh, that's good to know.
She's
But
not IG, folks. She's not IG.
yeah, I mean, exactly. This is why I play singles, guys. No, but I mean, Star Wars is like I live, breathe Star Wars. I love that shit so much. Like that was my first like movie going experience, and that's what made me love cinema and film itself was being able to escape to a galaxy far, far away and focus like wanting to live in this other world, and that's what Star Wars did for me, and it helped me focus on other stuff in life. Like when I watch those movies, that is what I like. Everything else in my life has escaped me. So like Yoda, guys. Who do not? There is no tribe. That is the best Star Wars character of all time. He's the wisest person in the wisest Yoda in the world. Like we don't know what he is, so I can't say person. But yeah, and then like Darth Vader, hell yeah. You know what doesn't get a lot of love though? Are the droids. Because R2D2, rad as hell.
R2D2 is right behind Obi-Wan for me. But Mike, what about you, sir? Final thoughts on the list, and then your top Trek, your top Wars character.
Yeah, I mean, over, I stand by my list, and I think again, like it's been said by everybody so many times today, like trying to pick one out of these four is ridiculous. I mean,
my job, yeah.
It's just yeah, whatever. Yeah, cool. You're great.
Sleep well tonight.
Fantastic. Yeah, it's you are why I drink. But no, it's that's kind of the great thing about sci-fi though, is like there's just so much for everyone to enjoy. Like I know there's a lot of talk about Trek versus Star Wars. Like you can love both, and start loving both is a great way to live. And I love both. My dad raised me on both, but my dad was also a bigger Trek fan than a Star Wars fan, which is kind of how I am too. If I had to pick one out of each one, you know, honestly, out of Star Wars, I'm probably going Han Solo.
Nice.
I think Han. So you talk about character development. You look at the Han Solo in A New Hope, and you look at the Han Solo, regardless of what you feel about the movie, that we get in a vision in The Rise of Skywalker, having this conversation with his son. Like, those are two completely different characters. And that you talk about character growth to what he grows to become as trying to be this father to his son, is just, and even just to be a husband to Leia. I mean, that moment in Return of the Jedi where they switch up the I love you, I know moment is fantastic. Going out of Trek though, the one I'm going to save is going to be Cisco. Captain Cisco is Deep Space Nine. I know it gets a lot of hate and people are stupid. Deep Space Nine is the best Trek because there is so much, everything that makes Star Trek like the best there is comes out of Deep Space Nine, whether it's the looking inward stuff, whether it's a social commentary, whether it's just cool sci-fi action, like all of it takes place in Star Trek Deep Space Nine. It's a great show, and Cisco as a father to me is one of the best TV dads, bar none. I mean, just the scenes with him and his son are some of the best stuff you're ever going to see on television. Hands down.
Yo, Shay, where were you when I was on the Star Trek episode throwing a stink that we didn't get any in DS9?
I don't know, Amaru. Where was I?
It was an open invite.
You follow me.
Get it.
You follow me. You see what I post. This is all I post. Anyway, Moose, what about you?
Listen to my podcast, Amaru. That's what I thought.
I watch Off the Wall all the time. So
whatever.
Go ahead.
So these are both Star Trek, Star Wars are probably two of my like favorite. I don't know, call them series sci-fi loves. I do think that there's more misses in Star Wars than there is tracks. So I do give a little bit of the edge to Star Trek as far as like my favorites go. I do think that the best Star Wars movie is Rogue One by far. And I think that K2SO is the best droid by far. That's my hot take on Star Wars. Okay.
Not hot at all. Not hot.
I think there's one bad Star Trek movie, and it's honestly just not as good as the others. Just kind of a long episode, and that's Star Trek Insurrection. Just feels like a long, Next Generation episode.
Moose, you and
We'll
I
talk
may
later.
have to talk privately. There's some fighting words in there.
But Spock for me is always hit. I got nothing but love for Deep Space Nine. That's such a great freaking show. God damn it, I'm gonna go back and rewatch it now. It's been a minute since I've seen it, so I gotta go back. But it's great. Again, I grew up watching both of these. And I'm old enough to say that I saw a lot of the original cast Star Trek movies in theaters.
You don't look that old, Moose. I'll give you that.
So I definitely have nothing but love for these. I think my favorite character probably coming out of the Star Wars universe, though. I mean, I gotta go with Obi-Wan. I think he's awesome. I gotta go with Han Solo. I think he's interesting. Fucking Lando. Give me as much Lando content as I could possibly get. And dude, please, Disney, if you're watching, because I know you are, because Rue's got quite the following, and I'm sure with this group here we can get some pull. Give me an Admiral Akbar series. Let me get a little bit more of Gail Akbar, please. I once asked my niece who in our family who would be who in the Star Wars universe, and she said I would be Admiral Akbar. So,
with like a TVMA super hard R.
Yes.
Under the condition that the title of every episode has to be a pun on It's a Trap.
It has to be.
It has to be. Otherwise, I'm not watching it.
Yeah, the TVMA for sure. Just Akbar getting down on Mon Calamari.
That's good. Matt, we know your Trek, so wax poetic on that one. But what about your Wars as well?
So Wars, that's what this episode was. That's Obi-Wan. Like I said, that's always been my favorite character. I'm never gonna back away from that. But yeah, Cisco, man, if you don't get to DS9 soon, your blurred card is gonna get snatched up so quick. It's just growing up, and Rue, you know this, in Black communities, there aren't a lot of fathers who are there and who stay. And growing up in a Black household who is both of Trek and Wars mindset, watching DS9, being thankful that I have a father similar to Cisco who stayed, who was there. There's a lot of stuff in there that just hits me in a certain way. And like Mike says, it's the best of both worlds. You get your action, you get your what you want in quintessential Trek. Just overall great sci-fi. There's a lot of stuff regarding whether it's religion or social commentary. It's everything you could want in a Trek show. So Cisco, best captain, should have been a captain the entire time. Friendly reminder, they just didn't think a Black captain would be accepted by fans back then. Who would have thought?
He's just a commander for like 2 or 3 seasons for no reason at all.
Right. Just captain is an entire space station. We don't consider those starships. It's fine. He's a commander.
Well, especially because at that point, D Space Nine was such a they weren't even sure they were going to keep it. They were like, "Can you just make sure it doesn't blow up?" Like, that's cool.
Yeah.
All right. Go ahead, Matt. Finish it off. Anything else?
No, go ahead.
All right. And Mr. Irwin, bring us home. Who would you keep with Trek? Who would you keep with Wars? And any final thoughts you got?
Wars, one I can't believe hasn't been said, which is Leia Organa. I just feel like she, especially with action, that was my favorite part of the Obi-Wan show. As I was like, I've never, to see her at that age, but to see that character who becomes a general and also happens to be a Jedi, but it's like, I don't need to do that part of it. Like, she's awesome. She's an incredible character, and and moreover, I think there's just a lot of real life things that it came, like her in Rogue One. And and in some of the more recent films, I think came at the right time for a lot of people, emotionally and psychologically. And I think I would have her. I think she's great. Carrie Fisher is phenomenal in that part in any decade. And then Star Trek, it's impossible. Star Trek's impossible. I mean, only because all of the ones I already like have been said. Like I was gonna say, Ben Sisko. You know who I really like that no one ever talks about is Michelle Yeoh as Philippa Georgiou on Star Trek Discovery. She has the craziest arc and is
Shay,
really awesome in it.
I agree with you, Shay. I'm just going to tell you this right now. Cancel Netflix and just go with Paramount Plus. It's cheaper and better.
It's not a dollar amount issue. Let me put it that way.
I need to hear more about this issue then.
I don't think I
It's a
understand.
Conversation for off the show.
Oh, fine.
Okay.
Well, fine. But I'm just saying. But by the way, Orphan First Kill will be featured on Paramount Plus starting next month, guys. Check it out.
Yeah.
Or also in theaters too. But if you have Paramount Plus, check it out.
It is.
Yeah, but this was awesome. Thanks for having me. I would say that I love Star Trek more than I love Star Wars, but I love them both. And it's taken Star Trek hundreds and hundreds of hours over many decades to get just a piece of what Star Wars has been able to do with just a handful of movies and a couple series. I mean, there's like 500 hours of Star Trek that you could watch, and like 25 hours of 30 hours of Star Wars. But obviously, I think they're both incredible, and they've left their mark on not just I think American culture, but I think world culture, and for a long time to come.
Very true words indeed. I'd like to thank my panel, but a couple more things before we go. We got to figure out who's actually moving on. So one last thing I always put in the fan vote, and based on the fan votes, the fans all saved Obi-Wan Kenobi. They had Darth Vader at number 2, and they had Spock at number 3. And the way this goes, if you've been following along to the early round of the tournament, if you get a first place vote, you get 5 points. If you get a second place vote, you get 3. And if you get a third place vote, you get 1. And as we are still in round 2, our top 2 characters are moving on. So
I was told there would be no math.
I did all the math, plus Excel sheets are great. So going here first, Data got a little love, just a little, but he got 2. Just 2. Coming up next, Spock with a really, really big number with those stays and those third place. He got 21. Next up, Darth Vader coming up behind with 18, so it's a close one. So it is
Paige is about to lose her shit.
It is in between whether or not who's joining Spock, Darth Vader or Obi-Wan, and going forward to the next round is one Obi-Wan Kenobi.
You guys are psychos.
With that, Obi-Wan Kenobi and Spock are moving on to the semifinals of the tournament to go up against whoever our semifinalists are between the wild card rounds, which I think is going to be a fun one because we have one Indiana Jones, James Bond, Marty McFly, and Ellen Ripley. So it'll be really interesting to see who's going to move forward and face these two in that next round. Again, thank you to each and every one of you. A couple of things that are happening. Apparently, I was vacationing way too hard for that beginning, but it's all right. It's all right. Coming up soon on this Bitesize Breakdown channel 1, Miss Paige Fravetti is going to be having a one-on-one, sometimes some one-on a pair of people, just some small talk. Some small talk. Just to get to know some of the personalities that you know a little bit better. She does just interviews of some of the people you may know. You may be interested in get to know them a little bit better. But with that, next time, as you all know, if you've been watching, I won't be doing riddles because we know who's coming up. So just know that next time you saw Comic-Con this weekend, and you saw that the Marvel just knows how to own everything. So let's figure out if next time they also own this show as well. We'll figure that out. Matt, you might know one of the people who's going to be on. If you're interested in that Marvel versus DC one, let me know when I put out the list. Vote on the list when you see it. But for Paige, for Mike, for Moose, for Matt, and one Mr. Ethan Irwin, we are out of here.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.